This is Digging Deeper with At the Coalface, and this week's episode is thanks to Coal Australia, a not-for-profit membership organisation representing the people and companies committed to building a secure future for Australian coal. Sign up to be part of the community at coalaustralia.com. And here's your host, Jessica Rouse.
Levi Grima is the Natural Resources Operations Manager at SGS Australia up in Queensland. He's been in the industry for years. He's certainly one of the most passionate people that I've come across. I'm also fairly curious about what he does at SGS and what that part of the coal chain does and how important that part is. Levi, how are you?
Awesome, mate. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, thanks for jumping on. Now, let's start with telling us a bit about yourself. You've always lived up north?
Yeah, mate. So, born and raised in Mackay. Family had 300 acres of cane out at Homebush. So I spent a lot of time on the cane farm. Running amok on the cane farm when we were younger. Awesome way to grow up, especially Mackay. It was always been a really sort of, tight-knit town, I guess. Everyone sort of was always willing to help one another. It was. I love it here. Obviously didn't when I was younger. Wanted to move away as quick as possible. As probably most kids in regional towns. But yeah, definitely missed it when I was living away. And got the bug and came back.
So when you were growing up, obviously, I've been up to Mackay a couple of times. Cane farming is obviously quite a big business up in Mackay. When you were younger growing up, did you realise how important the coal mining industry was?
No, honestly, I'll be honest with you, because I was cane was just always in your face because obviously we spent a lot of time on the farm, but a lot of sort of dad's mates and my uncles and stuff like that, they were working in the industry, and they would always just be like, this is if you want a career, if you want to live the lavish life, back then, get into the industry. They look after you. If you want to really get ahead, in this sort of area, that was the cream. Try to get a job in the industry. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Well, you decided not to listen to them though, because you went and decided to join the army first off instead.
yeah. So left school. Didn't know what I wanted to do, but knew that I didn't want to be in Mackay. I was doing cadets at the time, actually, army cadets. And I just saw the ad pop up on TV when they used to have the ads all the time. And I ended up applying back in 2005. And straight out of school, didn't even get to go to schoolies. I was already at Kapuka doing basic training while my mates were living it up at schoolies.
And you meant, when we were talking before, you said you went on a couple of deployments overseas, and it was when you came back from one of those deployments that you realised how much you missed Mackay, even though growing up you just wanted to be out of there.
Yeah. I think a lot of that was obviously experiencing what it was like and what other people were living overseas in the Middle East and stuff like that. And obviously large amounts of sort of brotherhood that you get in the Defence Force, and it really made me miss my family. And I wanted to come back to Mackay and sort of, I don't know, it sounds a bit silly, but sort of do my part for the town. Because it had obviously given so much opportunity to my family in terms of cane and stuff like that. So
because your grandparents came over from overseas, from Malta.
So Malta, so Maltese heritage. They came over on the cattle boat, and they started up at Mount Charlton, and then they ended up down in Homebush and just hard work and like just your typical Aussie sort of immigrant, I guess, for the use of a better word, back then. Come to the country for a better life, wanted to fit into Australia and Australian ways for their children and grandchildren, and just wanted to give back to the country that had given them so much, and that's what they kept passing down to their kids and us as their grandkids. We never forgot like what they had done for what the country had done for our family and the opportunities it gave us. So it was always good to repay that back. And I guess that was sort of one of the reasons why I did want to join the army as well, to serve the country that had given my family so much opportunity.
Yeah. Tell me about your first job in mining then. After.
Well, it was this, honestly.
Yeah.
So moved back to Mackay, and yeah, it was just such a coincidence. Hey, like it was always on my radar that it was something that I wanted to get into. Because obviously I was an adult at the time. Like I left when I was 17. Came back and I was just like, oh look, this is the industry that's gonna set me up the best. As a adult, it's got the most opportunities. It's a career. Like it's really is a career. There's plenty
Longevity.
of opportunities. Yeah, longevity, 100%. If the government doesn't have their way with it.
Yeah.
And I just had to throw that jab in there.
We'll get there. Don't you worry.
Yeah. And my mate at the time, who he works out at Blackwater as a like a fire suppression technician, I think they're called. I don't know what the correct terminology is. Sorry, Josh. But he works for Chubb out at Blackwater, and he goes, "Oh, look, I know someone that's running this coal lab, and he's looking for workers, like something you're interested in." And I was like, "Oh yeah, like give it a go." And I didn't want to be one of those people that were like 7 on, 7 off, always away from home over the hill. That's my personal opinion. Absolute hats off to the people that do that, because that's just a next level commitment as far as I'm concerned. And yeah, this came up and I was absolutely stoked to do it. Super interesting. I always looked at it as, hey, what's this black stuff? Oh, it's coal. Yep, who cares? Just coal. But there is so much to do with this resource that we have. It is super interesting.
Oh gosh, yeah. So tell me, I must admit, I know the bare basics about what you do and what this part of the huge coal chain that SGS and what you do plays. So tell me, as a coal tech, when you started, because you've moved up the ranks now, but
Yeah.
what is your job in the coal chain? What are you doing?
So to put it simply, we're a certification company. So we will sample. One side of it is sampling vessels out at the port, and providing analysis for certification of those cargoes. The other side of it is doing wash plan audits and things like that for our customers that we work for on site, essentially. And providing the analysis back to them to aid them in their operations out there day to day, and for them to pick problems if they arise or if they're concerned about something, we aid them in that. And then also on the shipping side, it's certification as well. So pretty important.
So I get. Yeah, so whether it's sampling something on site or whether it is on the vessels, like you mentioned, coal has to tick certain boxes, I guess, and reach certain amounts of things to get certified to either get exported or go to
100%.
whatever the company wants it to be going to.
Yeah. So obviously, the companies, they got to meet requirements of the buyers and stuff like that. And we provide that service for both parties to maintain that coal quality, I'll say.
Yeah, I
on
was
that
going to
side.
say there are things like coal quality, I guess how much energy it could potentially have.
100%, yeah, 100%. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's so much that goes into it, ash, moisture, energy.
yeah,
Um, there's a lot of elements, I'll say, that go into coal quality. So we could
yeah,
sit here and talk about it all week, honestly. There's that much of it. So, but yeah, so that's pretty much what we do. Very heavily standardized part of the industry for
yeah,
obvious reasons. Um, and we have to adhere to a lot, and rightly so.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, but yeah, super interesting part of the industry, and I wish more people in the industry would come and have a look at what we do,
yeah,
and
yeah,
understand it. So, and we always have the doors open for those kind of experiences. So
yeah, definitely. Because I guess, we're always talking about, whether it's in the news or when we're talking about the coal industry in general, we're always saying, Australia has the best quality coal in the world. And
mhm.
you're the one who's testing it and finding that out.
Yeah, most definitely, I back that 100%. So
Yeah. So, what's the difference between coal, say, from here in Queensland or New South Wales compared to overseas? Is it that level of ash content that is one of the big things that determines how good or bad the coal is, for want of a
yeah,
better
most
way of?
definitely. Like that's one of the main things that everyone's looking at. Is your ash content.
Yeah,
Your moisture is another big one. Your volatile matter, things like that. They're probably the main three big ones that we're looking at. And yeah, like low ash is better
yeah,
than high ash. Obviously, like the more high ash you get, you sort of trending towards sort of reject stuff,
yeah,
um, which is not what you want. But there's always a place for that type of coal in the world as well. Like that's what a lot of people don't understand. Like your common person that doesn't really know too much about it or isn't in the industry. It doesn't matter the quality of it. Like there's always a place for it somewhere. You know,
mm,
whether it's blending with other cargoes or other coal types to get that coal quality that's required. Power plants, steel making, like there's plenty of
yeah,
applications for it. Um, so yeah, like it's not just a one trick pony, in my opinion. So, and that's what more people need to understand out in the public as well. How many applications coal has and provides for the communities, especially the regional ones. So
yeah, exactly. Do you think people are getting more interested in finding out more? Do we still just not? We're just not educated enough as a community about coal and the industry and what it does. What do you think?
I don't know. Like there's always something new popping up, especially with what we do.
Yeah,
Um, and that's why things like the standards and stuff are always changing and procedures are always changing and evolving. Um, and there's so much test work that goes into everything across the board, and it's there for a reason. Like um, there's so many different types of seams of coal that
yeah,
that react differently and have different properties and things like that. Like you can never not say you can never not like well you can never sit there and hand on heart say oh no I've learned everything I need to know about this like about coal because I just don't think that's accurate. Like you're
yeah,
always learning and evolving, and that's what I love about it, honestly.
yeah, yeah. That's
So
awesome.
yeah,
And it sounds like you would have learnt an awful lot in a short amount of time. And you mentioned, as when you were growing up in Mackay, you really had no idea about the industry and how vital it was. But now, like, you want to be that little cog in the big wheel that keeps turning and keeps towns and regions like Mackay going.
yeah, that's it. Hey, like coal's important. I know a lot of people out there are trying to stop it, which is absolutely ridiculous. In my opinion, I'll say. Um, but the thing that and I'm not putting words in anyone's mouth here, but I think a lot of the driving factors outside of being secure financially and other things like that, the obvious ones, I think a lot of the driving force for a lot of people that work in the industry is like, the community, like especially in places like Moranbah and Collinsville and Claremont and things like that. Like it's all about helping the community. It's all about helping your fellow neighbour, getting in there, doing the hard yards, you know. And these are the things that the government really don't give a shit about, Jess.
Yeah.
And that's what it seems like. But yeah, like I'll talk for myself. That's definitely, as I mentioned the last time we had a chat, my driving force is, like you said, I'm a very, very small cog in the big machine. But for me, the thing that keeps me coming back to work every morning is obviously my staff, but also playing that small part in keeping the regional community of Mackay alive. You know, keeping it open for people that want to start their own businesses here.
Yeah. And one of the things that really stuck with me that you mentioned when we last spoke was, you know, you don't have to like coal, but if you like your friend who's starting a flower shop or a cafe in a
Mm-hmm.
town that relies on people who work in mining, if you
Yep.
want them to succeed, you need the people who work in the industry that's taking up all the people who go and spend the money in the community, like at that coffee shop, at the flower shop.
Yep. 100%. Hey, like, and you know, it comes down to even things for people's families, like the average family man or woman with their kids. You know, us the guys doing the shift work, especially going out to site, doing the shift work, spending that time away from their families, doing the hard yards, especially underground. They're, you know, that money that goes back into the community, that might mean that they might build something for your kids, you know, like a lagoon or something like what we have in Mackay, or you know, other things like that make your kids that little bit happier, and it'll create those memories for them growing up. Like, and these are the things that people don't think about. You know, they're just like, coal, like it's evil.
It's the thing, people, as you mentioned, that people, government don't realize unless you're living in the town and you see what the industry does and how it keeps a town alive, you have no idea.
Yep. And you know, these little dog and pony shows, I'll call them, that they do where some Polly will come out to the site for a couple of hours with his little hard hat on, and he's like, oh yeah, like I'm really involved and I'm really embedded with the industry and the workers, mate. Go do a full swing, be on the ground with the guys, go underground with the underground workers, see how hard they work, and then come back to the community, spend real time in the
Yeah.
communities. Don't just walk around and cherry pick the places that you go to. Spend real time. And this goes for the local MPs and stuff like that as well. If you care about the people, you should be caring about this industry, and you should be spending the time, the valuable time on the ground with the actual people working, and not just in the coal industry. I'm talking people that are starting businesses up in regional towns as well.
Yeah.
Spend time with them. Like, don't be cooped up. Don't spread false promises. Don't do photo opportunities. They mean jack shit, in my opinion. Like, if you care, spend the most valuable asset that you have, which is your time. Spend that with the people that are keeping your town alive.
Exactly. And listen.
Yep.
I think a lot of us feel like it's just like banging your head up against a brick wall because no one wants to listen.
Yep. Shut your mouth and open your ears. That should be the first thing that any politician gets told. Honestly, keep your eyes open, keep your ears open, shut your mouth.
Yeah, exactly. It was interesting. We did a podcast episode with Chris Ullman a month or so ago veteran political journalist in Australia, has been for many, many years, but he makes so much sense when talking about this industry and how, the wealth of this country was built off the back of fossil fuels, not just coal, but gas, oil, like we would not
Yep.
be where we are today if it
Yeah.
wasn't for fossil fuels.
Yep. He was the best keynote speaker for the APCC conference. Shout out to Steph. But him opening that conference, that turned my ears on straight away.
Yeah.
The way that he explained it, I urge anyone that's listening to this to go and listen to that episode, because I have, and listen to any sort of material that he has where he talks about it, and he explains it and he backs it up with evidence and facts. And in my opinion, no one can argue with what he says because he's backing it up. It's there in black and white. So anyone that says anything else is just, it's not true. Like, it's not factual. It's crap. It's false rhetoric. And that's what we can expect from the government and whoever else is trying to bloody stop this industry, mate. Like, you're killing the country, you're going to kill the regional communities, you're going to drive people out of this country, essentially, in my opinion. It will happen.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's great. You mentioned the APCC conference. There's a leaders program that you're a part of this year, and you'll get to go and see other regional communities like Mackay and like where you are in Queensland and New South Wales, and see, just how widespread and important the industry is, not just where you are, but everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great initiative. I'm super stoked and feel 100% fortunate to get the experience. Traveling all over the place, Newcastle, Gladstone, Hunter Valley, get to experience all different types of regional communities, look at the power stations, coal labs, mine sites. Brilliant initiative, honestly. Like, if there's other companies that ever think to send their people on it, I've only done one session so far with the APCC, but can't recommend that. Firstly, the APCC, I've been to a few conferences, and normally, and I don't mean to be rude, but sometimes there's a few speeches where you're sort of like, a bit of a snore fest. But I will put my hand on my heart, and I'm not getting any paid advertisement here, but every single session was impactful, inspiring. Like, my eyes and ears were open for the whole 2 days of it. So it was brilliant.
Yeah, no, it was great. And I mean, the things that Coal Australia are doing, we've spoken about it before, how great that is to open the eyes and ears up of the everyday person who's not in the industry, so they can learn, more about how, it all works and how we benefit every single day.
Yep. Voice, like I said to you before, Jess, Coal Australia, the best way I describe them is the voice of common sense.
Yeah, exactly. Where do you see the industry in 5-10 years down the track?
Where
would you like to see it?
I would love to see it expand, phenomenally expand. I would love to see the mining companies be allowed to open new sites up.
Yeah.
I would like to see the time it takes to get those new sites operational significantly cut, because at the moment it's absolutely ridiculous how long it's taking. And the reason for that is the more sites that we have going, the further we can enrich the country under the right government, if there is such a thing. And the amount of jobs that it'll create for the regional communities, wherever those mine sites might open, and it'll be able to enrich those communities 100%, and it'll give Australians that are in the industry today, it'll give them peace of mind that their kids and their grandkids will have a career in this industry if they choose to go down that path, that is secure and that has that longevity. And like, you look at all the foreigners that jump on the social media and absolutely laugh at us. They're like, Australia, what are you doing? You're so rich. You're so rich in resources.
Yeah.
We're the laughing stock. We are the laughing stock of the world because of our government.
I say hopefully, as awful as what's happening overseas in the Middle East is at the moment, I hope that we perhaps realise as a country or as a government how important it is for us to have to use the resources that we have here in our backyard.
Yeah, we need to put Australia first.
Cut off from a trade route, that's it.
Yeah, we need to put Australia first. We need to
Exactly.
put Australia first. In my opinion, I'll keep saying that. So, we need to put this country first. We need to put its people first. And that's including the people that want to come here and fit in with our ways and don't bring their rubbish in with them, and want to work and want to be a part of the machine that makes this country amazing. You know, like I want to bring back Australia, the Australia of like the 90s or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where the kids are hooning around the streets on their push bikes and they knew when to go home when the street lights come on. And everyone could walk down the street and say g'day to each other. They weren't looking at the pavement when they walked past someone.
Exactly.
And this is all part of it. Like, I know people are probably going to think I'm wearing a bit of a tinfoil hat, which is fine. But I think, you know, we need to provide these opportunities for people. Get them off the street, you know, like make more opportunities for everyone. And hopefully that'll help with the cost of living, drive that down a bit as well, because that's a bit ridiculous at the moment. You know, give our young people affordable living so they don't have to be stuck at home with mum and dad. You know, it all goes hand in hand, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Levi, I think you're a great example of, you know, someone who's passionate, who's living in a mining town, benefiting from the mining industry. And, you know, I wish everyone had a similar opinion to you.
So do I.
Well, mate, thank you so much for jumping on the podcast. We really appreciate you having a chat to us.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for having me, Jess.
Well, thank you for joining us for this episode of Digging Deeper with At The Coalface. You can download more episodes of the podcast on all your favourite podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, also on YouTube, Amazon Music, all the usual places. Make sure you leave us a rating and a review. We'd love to hear what you thought. And if you do have a story idea or something you'd like us to talk about on the podcast, please send me an email, jess@thecoalface.net.au. I'd love to hear from you, and we'll be back next time for another episode of Digging Deeper with At The Coalface.